All right, everybody, it is time for another set of notes that don't look the way they normally look, because I'm going to read you today a version of the story Theseus and the Minotaur. So I feel like it's like an audio book, so I'll try my best to give you that audiobook feel. So here we go. Let's get into it. Long ago, the island of Crete was ruled by a powerful leader named King Minos. Now, as you'll remember, every Minoan king was called King Minos. Legend claims that he was the son of Zeus and Europa, so not from Hera, and therefore was looked upon favorably by the gods on Mount Olympus. His beautiful wife was daughter of Helios, the sun god. Helios is a titan. Some things in mythology say that Helios is the sun god. Some say Apollo. But anyway, King Minos loved his wife and built her an elaborate palace at Knossos. He called upon his clever architect to perfect the design of the spiraling staircases and twisted corridors. The palace was filled with beautiful paintings worshiping the bull god, a tribute to Zeus, who in the shape of a bull had brought the queen to the island. So the architect that the story is talking about is this guy in Greek mythology called Daedalus. Daedalus' probably most famous myth has to do with the story of his son Icarus. So those of you that know the story, you know. And those of you that don't, you'll hear about it in this unit. So the beautiful paintings that he's talking about, those are frescoes. So here we go, back to the story. The royal couple lived in peace and prosperity for many years. However, Poseidon, the god of the sea, soon grew jealous of his brother Zeus. He felt the people of Crete should worship him since it was his watery kingdom that surrounded their island. One day, he sent a snowy white bull to Crete. He demanded that the bull be sacrificed in his honor. But the queen grew fond of the bull and pleaded with her husband to spare its life. King Minos could not deny his beautiful wife, and the bull was spared. Enraged by the king's defiance, Poseidon used his magic to make the bull go mad. It ravaged the island, and soon all appeared doomed. So, all is well for King Minos and his wife. Poseidon one day is like, funny that you like Zeus so much, even though we know the Minoans actually liked Gaia the best. You're an island. I'm the god of the sea. Therefore, you should worship me more than Zeus. So he sends this beautiful bull and says, kill the bull to prove that you like me the best. King Minos' wife is like, no, don't kill it. He doesn't. Poseidon then makes the bull go crazy. And now we have a bull destroying Crete. As chance would have it, all right, so you see how it says Hercules. Now, I know, first of all, correction. Hercules is his Roman name. So while we're studying ancient Greece, I'm going to call him Heracles. When we get to Rome, I'll switch to Hercules. But Heracles gets involved. Now, a little background on Heracles. Those of you that know the Disney movie, just so you know, that is not anything out of Greek mythology. Disney took the story and made it into what it was. Not related to Greek mythology. Oh, it's a great story, great movie, but not ancient Greece connected, because actually the story of Heracles is pretty dark. Long story short, Zeus, surprise, surprise, gets another woman pregnant. And he has an idea, and he says, this time, so Hera won't be mad, I'm going to name the child after her, Heracles. So he brings baby Heracles to Hera, his wife, and says, you can't get mad this time. I named him after you. And Hera is as furious as she ever has been, and she decides that it was her mission in life to punish Heracles, since she can't mess with Zeus, king of the gods. So, as Heracles grows up, Hera's always messing with him, and later on in Heracles' life, he has a wife and kids of his own. And this is where Hera does something so messed up So supposedly, she like gives Heracles this drink that basically like drugs him and makes him think there are monsters in his house. And he's killed the monsters, and then all of a sudden, the drug wears off, and he realizes he has murdered his entire family. It wasn't monsters, it was his wife and kids. OMG. Now you see why this is so not Disney appropriate. But you're a sixth grader. You can handle real talk like this. So, what happens next is Heracles goes on these missions, these labors, and you're gonna learn about this later on in the unit. But one of these labors is like, go help the people of Crete. There's a crazy bull. So, as chance would have it, Heracles caught wind of King Minos' plight. He sailed to Crete and took the mad bull away. The kingdom rejoiced and the people began restoring their island. But Poseidon was still angry. To further punish the disobedient king and queen, he made the queen bear a hideous child, half bull and half man. The monster was called the Minotaur, and it ate only human flesh. The king once again went to his clever architect and had him construct an elaborate labyrinth under the palace to house the beast. So, Poseidon is still mad. The queen of Crete is pregnant at this time, and he basically uses his godly ability to turn the baby into a monster, so that when the baby is born, it's not a baby, it's a monster that is half man, half bull. And that's where Minotaur, Minnow meaning like Minoan, and Tor is connected to the Greek word for bull. So now there's a plot hole in the story. If the baby only eats human flesh, wouldn't he like eat the mother when he was inside of her? There's a plot hole in this Greek myth that I haven't heard a solution to. So, if we can handle plot holes in certain shows, we can handle it in this story too. So the king has Daedalus build this labyrinth to keep the beast. Now, you might be thinking, why didn't he just kill it? Well, because it's their child. They're not going to kill their child, even if it's a monster. Now, this version looks a little weird. Most versions of the Minotaur do the opposite, where instead of it being bull bottom and man top, most versions have bull top and man bottom. All right. So, as long as the Minotaur was given victims to eat, the palace was peaceful. When the Minotaur grew hungry, his blood-curdling bellows sent shivers down the spines of everyone throughout the kingdom. King Minos was forced to wage war against neighboring regions in order to supply the Minotaur with food. During a battle in Athens, King Minos' son was killed. He had other kids. As revenge, he demanded King Aegeus, the king of Athens, to send 14 young Athenian men and women to Crete to be sacrificed to the Minotaur. Minos told King Aegeus that a boat with black sails would come every 9 years to transport the youths to Crete. If King Aegeus did not comply, Minos threatened to destroy Athens. So, a couple of things we have to unpack here. For those of you, I forgot to say this in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of Hunger Games type things coming up in the story. The author of the Hunger Games actually said she was inspired to write it by the myth of Theseus and the Minotaur. So there you go. So apparently, the hunger of the Minotaur is such that like he'll just scream and like nonstop, like the worst baby ever. Even though it's not a baby anymore. King Minos doesn't want to sacrifice his own people, so he goes to war with other places, and Athens killed his son in war, his other son, so he's so mad, he can destroy Athens if he wants, but instead he says, you have to send me 14 people every 9 years, otherwise I'm going to destroy your city. Why 14 people every 9 years? Apparently that's how long it takes. It takes the Minotaur, I guess, 9 years to eat 14 people. I guess that's the reason. Okay. Now, maybe the Minotaur is like a snake. It doesn't have to eat too often. King Aegeus was distraught that's the king of Athens. But he knew King Minos' armies were more powerful than his own, so he complied. For more than 20 years, the black-sailed ships came and carried away the doomed. Then one day, word came to Athens that a young hero named Theseus was traveling throughout Greece, overpowering evil. When King Aegeus heard the news, he was overjoyed, for this young hero was none other than his own son. At the time of his secret birth, King Aegeus had buried a sword and golden sandals under a boulder. He told Theseus' mother, when Theseus is clever and strong enough to lift the boulder, he may bring these things to Athens and claim the throne as my rightful heir. Okay, so side note, in Athens, King Aegeus apparently pulled a Zeus, cheated on his wife, got another woman pregnant, and says to this woman, when the kid is old enough to move this boulder and get the weapons, I'll fully recognize him as my son, but until then, you gotta keep quiet. All right. When Theseus arrived in Athens, he presented his father with the sword and golden sandals. King Aegeus was proud to see that his son had grown into a strong and handsome man with a good heart. That same day, the ship with black sails returned, and Athens mourned the 14 young men and women chosen for this dreadful voyage. Seeing his father's pain, Theseus begged to go to Crete and destroy the Minotaur once and for all. King Aegeus was reluctant, but finally gave in, and Theseus joined the group. Before leaving, Theseus told the king, "Do not worry, dear father. The gods are with me, so I can only succeed in my mission. I promise that once again Athens will be free. As a sign of my victory, I will hoist white sails when we return." With that, Theseus sailed away with the others to Crete. Once on the island of Crete, Theseus and the other prisoners were taken to the palace, where they bathed and attended a grand banquet. The doomed Athenians were so frightened they could not eat. Only Theseus, filled with confidence, ate and drank heartily. The king's daughter, this is King Aegeus, the king's daughter Ariadne was taken by this bold behavior and spent the evening talking and laughing with Theseus. By the end of the evening, she was madly in love with him. As the prisoners were taken to the dungeon to sleep, Ariadne knew she must save Theseus or die heartbroken. All right, so Theseus gets to Athens and is basically like, so, King Aegeus, you're my dad. And it's the day that King Aegeus is sending 14 people to Crete to become Minotaur food. Theseus says, I'll go, I'll kill the Minotaur, then you won't have to worry again. King Aegeus basically says, okay. But he's worried. And Theseus tells the king, don't worry. In fact, here's how you know that I'll make it. When I return, I'm going to have white sails and not black sails, and that's how you know I defeated the Minotaur. So Theseus and the other Minotaur food go to Crete, and Ariadne, the daughter of King Minos of Crete, is basically like, who's this guy Theseus? Who does he think he is? And then they get to know each other, and she falls for him. So she's got a crush. And she's like, I gotta do something. Otherwise, my crush is gonna die because of my weirdo monster brother that eats people. So here we go. All right. That night, she secretly stole away to the architect, that's Daedalus' chambers, and begged him to save her one true love. The architect finally gave in, handing Ariadne a magic ball of golden thread. He instructed her to take Theseus to the gates of the labyrinth at midnight while the Minotaur slept. Theseus was to place the ball of gold thread on the ground and then follow it through the maze as it magically unwound through the twisting corridors. However, he had no magic to help Theseus once he met the Minotaur. Theseus was on his own. Ariadne thanked the architect and sneaked off to meet Theseus. She confessed her undying love and offered to help him if only he would take her away and make her his wife. Theseus kissed Ariadne and gladly agreed. They quietly crept to the large gates of the labyrinth. There they tied the end of the thread to a post. All right, so Ariadne goes to Daedalus and says, all right, there's this guy I like, and he's going to be Minotaur food. You have to help me. So Daedalus says, give him the string so he knows where he's going, and then he can sneak up on the Minotaur, because part of the Minotaur strategy is, I guess, you're lost in the labyrinth and the Minotaur attacks. Ariadne frees Theseus from, I guess he was in some sort of prison. She tells Theseus her feelings. Then they're now a couple. So I guess what's their ship name? Would it be Ariadne or would it be Ariadius? Ariadius or Ariadne? I feel like Ariadne is a better ring to it. So anyway, back to the story. Ariadne wished Theseus good luck and waited in anticipation as he followed the gold ball into the darkness. He twisted and turned throughout the dizzying maze, keeping one step behind the speeding ball. Soon he heard the loud snore of the Minotaur and smelled the sour stench of death. Around the bend, he emerged into a room filled with bleached bones and skulls. In the middle slept the dreaded giant Minotaur. At once the beast awoke and charged at his intruder, surprised to find this midnight snack. The Minotaur had not anticipated the strength of Theseus. For years, most victims had fainted at the mere sight of the dreadful monster, allowing him to devour his meal without a fight. But Theseus appeared not only undaunted, but determined to put forth a brave struggle. Soon they were locked in a tangle of arms and horns. Loud bellowing grunts filled the dark chamber until finally one last wheezing snort left the monster's snout as his bull head hit the floor. Theseus had killed the Minotaur with his bare hands. Quickly, Theseus followed the golden thread back to the entrance. He freed the other victims, and they all, including Ariadne, sprinted back to the ship. In his haste to leave, he forgot to change to white sails. Theseus was filled with joy. No more Athenians would be sacrificed to the Minotaur, and he was returning home with a beautiful bride. That night, he expected to sleep in peace. But the god of wine, Dionysus, appeared in his dreams. He told Theseus that this marriage was forbidden and Ariadne could not be his wife. He told Theseus to leave Ariadne on the island of Naxos, where she must complete her destiny. Sadly, Theseus complied. As he sailed away brokenhearted, Dionysus appeared to Ariadne and made her his own wife. They lived happily together. I got more details for you because you might right now being like, what? So here's the story. All right. Theseus kills the Minotaur, frees the other Minoans. Not frees the other Minoans. Frees the other Athenians from the Minoan control, takes Ariadne. They're going back to Athens. They make a pit stop on the island of Naxos, and Dionysus, the god of wine, comes to him and says, you are not allowed to marry Ariadne. You have to leave. Don't even tell her. Just go. Theseus doesn't want to disobey the gods, so he leaves Ariadne. He basically ditches her. Ariadne wakes up. Theseus is gone. Now let's think about this. Here is a woman who left her entire family, gave it all up for this guy Theseus, and he's gone. So she is ugly crying. When I say ugly crying, to give you a visual, imagine a person that is crying so much their makeup is smeared all over their face kind of thing. And Dionysus comes and says, oh, what's the matter? What's wrong? And Ariadne tells Dionysus the whole story of how Theseus left her and she can't believe it. And Dionysus is like, oh, what a jerk. I'm Dionysus. And they get together and get married. So Dionysus basically forbids Theseus to marry Ariadne because Dionysus wants to marry Ariadne. And their whole marriage is based on this horrible lie. Ariadne is married to Dionysus. They live happily ever after, but the story of how they got together is kind of shady. So, back to this. Theseus sailed on to Athens, still not having changed the black sails. As the ship entered the harbor, King Aegeus saw the black sails. Unable to bear the thought that he had sent his own son to his death, the old king flung himself off the cliff into the churning sea and rocks below. Theseus arrived to find his father dead and the kingdom his own. He vowed to rule and protect Athens from any future harm. So that his father would never be forgotten, he named the sea in his honor. To this day, Athens stands as a pinnacle of strength with the waters of the Aegean Sea protecting its shores. So, pretty sad ending. Theseus apparently doesn't follow directions. I'm showing you the Aegean Sea. So he doesn't change the sails. So King Aegeus sees the black sails, thinks Theseus is dead, thinks it's his fault, and he kills himself. He jumps off the cliff, which is horrific. And so now that King Aegeus is dead, that means Theseus is the new king and the leader of Athens. All right, so just to show you, we fly across the world. The sea between Greece and Turkey here, this is the Aegean Sea. There it is, right there. How about that? And that is the story of Theseus and the Minotaur. Now, if you're wondering, like, so the Mycenaeans used this to explain what happened to the Minoans. So essentially, in their mind, it's twofold. The reason why Crete is in like rubble is because of the bull that was destroying the place that Heracles had to save. And the reason why the Minoan people don't exist is they believed that once Theseus killed the Minotaur, it's like all of their power vanished away too. None of that is true, obviously. All a myth. And that is Theseus and the Minotaur.